Thank you, Kirsten. It was easier the second service. It was hard. She couldn't sing that the first service. It was so emotional. And Aaron, I love the picture of you and your mom. Did y'all see that one? Happy Mother's Day. So this is a day that is charged with emotion. Whether you had a good mother or not so good mother, it doesn't matter. It's a day that's charged with emotion. So I say just be with it wherever you are. Just stay with it. So today we are honoring mothers and we're honoring the divine feminine. And the truth is moms have been inspiring and pushing their children for ages, for thousands of years. They are either the wind beneath their children's wings or they clip them, either one or the other. And really, you know, when we look at Scripture, Mary, Jesus' mother, pushed him into his ministry. He had just been baptized by John the Baptist. He hadn't yet come out with his ministry, and he was at a wedding with his mother and the 12 disciples. And they ran out of wine, which is a horrible thing to happen at a wedding. And so she says to Jesus, you know, go ahead. And, you know, it's time for him to show up and do a miracle. And he says, woman, what is that to you? So he's, you know, you can see there's this little tension going on there. And Mary simply ignores him, and she says to the servants, just do whatever he tells you. And so Jesus, of course, has them bring out the vessels, and they're filled with water, and he turns them into wine. And it's his first miracle, and it's his first step into ministry, again, kind of being pushed by his mom. And it is said that the wine was the best. And usually at a wedding, you know, you serve the good wine first, and when everybody's drunk, then you bring out the bad stuff. But in this case, the wine was fabulous, and the guests were like, wow, I've never been to a wedding before where the wine was so great at the end of the evening. So we have Mary to thank for that. The truth is that artists have been inspired by their mothers. We have stories, we have songs, we have all kinds of things. And, you know, I always think of Ben Affleck and Matt Damon when they won the Oscar in 1998, and they brought their mothers as dates to the Oscars. I've liked them ever since. The face of the Statue of Liberty is the face of the man who sculpted it. It's his mother. So we see his mother's face in the Statue of Liberty, and it is said that the body is that of his wife, but the face is... And the truth is, motherhood takes us to the highest heights and the deepest lows. And, you know, when we have our first child, we record everything, and, you know, we have to take care of everything. And we kind of lose that as time goes along. So I want to share with you a description of a couple who had a couple of children. The first child, my wife grabbed the camera, and I grabbed the video camera. My wife, and this is back when you had to develop film, my wife took 4 rolls of film, and we immediately took it to the 1-hour developing place and had 4 rolls developed, and we got double prints. Then we had the best picture blown up to a 24 by 36, and we framed it and we put it in the foyer. I had a professional studio turn the 4 hours of video that I taped into a 1-hour documentary with a voiceover by the local anchor person. The second child, well, we took 1 roll of film and 5 minutes worth of video. And the next day we took the film, had it developed. I took the best picture and I put that in my wallet. The third child, well, we couldn't find the video camera, and we only had 5 shots left on the roll of film anyway. So we took the 5 shots, but we never had the film developed. And the fourth child, I quickly got up, I grabbed the camera, and I placed it up high so the child wouldn't grab it. Worries, the first baby. At the first sign of distress, a whimper, a frown, you pick the baby up. The second child, the second baby, you pick the baby up when her wails threaten to wake the other child. And when you have the third baby, you teach your 3-year-old how to rewind the mechanical swing. I was the second child, and my brother has this great baby book. It's got his hair in it, it's got his first words, his steps, I mean, everything that he did. It's just this amazing book. And then I found mine, and I have a picture of me when I was born, and on the next page there's a picture of me when I was 6 months old, and that's it. So the truth is, being a mom changes you at the core of your being. It just changes you. And scientific studies have actually shown that women's brains increase shortly after giving birth. And the regions that are increased are responsible for emotion, reasoning, judgment, the senses, and reward behavior. You are changed biologically. And it kind of goes with this saying that I found about before I was a mom. So those of you who are mothers may relate to this. Before I was a mom, I slept as late as I wanted, and I never worried about how late I got into bed. I brushed my hair and my teeth every day. Before I was a mom, I had never been puked on, pooped on, spit on, chewed on, or peed on. I had complete control of my mind and my thoughts, and I slept all night. There's a theme that runs through this about sleeping. Before I was a mom, I didn't know the feeling of having my heart outside of my body. I had never known the warmth, the joy, the love, the heartache. I didn't know that I was capable of feeling so much before I was a mom. So I would like to acknowledge the moms who are here today. And I'd like to begin with expectant moms, expectant and new moms. So if you're an expectant mom or a new mom, and we'll define that by saying if you have a child that's under 2 years old, would you please stand up? Mary. All right, well, Mary, we're going to bless you. Mary, Alexander's like 1.5 years, right? He'll be 2 in August. So let's just take a moment to bless Mary. And Mary, you symbolize all new and expectant moms right now. And so we bless you. And we see the spirit of wisdom, the spirit of love, strength, and the energy that you need to provide the loving caretaking that Alexander needs. We see you as the divine mother goddess. You are a holy mother, and you represent all those new moms. And if you'll stay standing. And now I'd like all the moms in the room to stand up. And so if you will just remain standing for the moment and while you are blessed. And so we open again to the Spirit of God, the presence of the goddess, moving in and through you as nurturing energy, as wisdom, as the voice of Spirit. May we each be the wind beneath our children's wings, as at the same time we watch over them. No matter the age, if they're small or they're old, we bless all children, and we bless all children of this planet as we are caretakers and blessed. And it is so. Amen. You be seated. And we will bless all women later, because all women are the divine feminine. I think it's also important that we acknowledge not only the new moms and moms, but our elderly mothers as well. And I was reading a piece this week that it is a letter that is written from an elder mother to her younger daughter. It says, "My dear girl, the day you see that I'm getting old, I ask you to please be patient, but most of all, try to understand what I'm going through. If when we talk I repeat the same thing 1,000 times, don't interrupt me to say, you said that a minute ago." My daughter already says that to me. "Try to remember the times when you were little and I would read the same story night after night after night. If I occasionally lose track of what we're talking about, give me time to remember. And if I can't, don't be impatient or arrogant. Just know in your heart that the most important thing is for me to be with you. And when my old, tired legs don't let me move as quickly as before, then give me your hand, the same way that I offered mine to you when you first walked. Your loving mother. So we celebrate moms in all stages and ages. We celebrate the divine feminine, and we celebrate a woman's voice today. A woman's voice is the first voice that we hear when we are in utero. And a woman's voice is strong and powerful. And I think it's interesting that women's voices are primarily on our GPSs and computers. Scientific studies show that people find women's voices more pleasing than men's, and so it's basically the default position for the GPS, except in Germany. Apparently, BMW had to recall their cars with a built-in GPS because the German men refused to take directions from women. That's true. And you know, it could be that women's voices are on computers because Hal gave them a bad rap in 2001 Space Odyssey, right? Where are you going, Dave? And of course, it's sort of culminated with Siri. You know, so those of you who have the latest iPhone, Siri, you can ask her to find restaurants or text somebody or make calls, and it's quite astounding. And one day I was so amazed by her, I said, "Siri, you are a genius." And she said, "If you say so." I guess they have programmed Siri to say all kinds of things because people have been asking her all kinds of questions, the most common being, "What are you wearing?" And Siri will answer, "Why do people always ask me that?" So, the truth is that the history of Mother's Day actually began as an anti-war and pacifist movement. It was first created or founded by Julia Ward Howe, who wrote the Battle Hymn of the Republic. She was so disgusted by the Civil War. She was so sickened by the carnage that she saw during the Civil War that she wrote a Mother's Day proclamation calling for all women to rise up, to rise up and rise together and to turn their backs on war once and for all. Later, it was also made into a more of a personal holiday where we celebrate our moms. And so what I think is great is that Julia Ward Howe and the Mother's Day Proclamation is gaining in popularity once again. So we have it both ways. We can celebrate our moms and our grandmothers. We can do that. And we also can look at the history of it and ask what is being called for today. What is the Mother's Day proclamation that we need now? Women's voices have been getting stronger throughout the decades. The Dalai Lama said that women have a special capacity to lead us to a more peaceful world with compassion, affection, and kindness. And maybe that's because the brain that gets activated during motherhood. So a holiday that was begun by a mother's being appalled at war. We continue with war today, but I still believe in the power of women and women's voices. When the Afghan war existed between the Soviet Union and Afghanistan, it ended, I think it went on for about 10 years, but it primarily ended because of the pressure of the Russian mothers, of the Soviet Union mothers. And, part of it is Afghanistan was just around, it was across the border. It wasn't like the other side of the world like it is for us. And so a lot of the Soviet mothers would go over into Afghanistan. They just bring their sons home, say, "Enough of this, you're coming home with me now." And they also went to Pakistan so that they could witness the suffering also of the Afghani soldiers and the Afghani mothers. There was a doctor by the name of Zhukova, and she and other mothers of Soviet prisoners also visited Afghan refugee camps. She said, We're not doing this to please the guerrillas. In other words, we're not doing this, because we're trying to appease the Afghani guerrillas. But she said, we have come here to witness the suffering of the Afghan mothers. We are sure that the war has done horrible things to them as it has to us. And we want to join hands with the Afghan mother who is suffering like us and to put an end to this war. Enough is enough. And it ended, again, primarily because of the pressure on the government, because the mothers had had enough. The truth is that I think that we're in a year of change, a big year of change. And sometimes it seems like change can happen very quickly, just boom, And the truth is that when change happens, it only happens because we have wanted it, or we have fought for it, or we have called for it for years. And when we think about the changes that have taken place just over the last couple of hundred years, women's rights, for instance, that change has taken place. Children's rights, just from the 40s and 50s, have changed drastically. When I grew up, whatever happened in your house was nobody else's business. There was no calling 911 and saying, hello, I need some help here. It was nobody's business. And now we have children's rights, as we should. The civil rights movement, it lasts 40 years. So when these changes happen, when we look back, we go, really? It used to be like that? That's really hard to imagine. You mean women couldn't vote, or blacks couldn't vote, or kids didn't have any rights? Really? That's so weird. And yet, those changes, when they happen, they appear to happen instantly after much struggle, and it's always happening right now. So we've seen changes. We've seen changes in the last 100 years or so with women's rights, with children's rights, with civil rights, and now we're seeing it with gay rights. The fact that Obama came out and spoke in favor of same-sex marriage it's like, there it is. I think that what happens is beliefs become a part of the collective consciousness. And then all of a sudden, things appear to happen like boom, like they happen really fast. And so this has been a long time in coming, and here it is. It's happening, it's becoming the majority, and 10 years from now, people will look back and go, really? You guys used to think that? How weird is that, right? So I believe that we can make that change with the stuff that's facing us in the planet and with the wars that just seem to go on and on and on, that Julia Ward Howe was calling out for. That change. As soon as it becomes a part of the collective consciousness, it shifts. And it seems like it shifts instantly, but it really isn't. And wouldn't it be great if, 50 years from now, people look back and go, really? You guys would go to war over everything? That's just a little strange. So I believe that feminine voice is needed, the feminine voice of the goddess of spirit, not just through women, but through men. That voice of compassion and kindness is being called for our world to be heard. So I want to honor all women here today. So if all women would please stand up. And let us be open to being blessed, for a woman's voice is very powerful. The Dalai Lama said women have a special capacity to lead us to a more peaceful world with compassion, affection, and kindness. And so my prayer that we put to Spirit right now is that we may be guided and directed to be the voices of the feminine, to be the voices of the goddess, to be the voices of peace, where we say enough is enough. It is so. You may be seated. So your voice is needed, whether you're a mom or a grandma, whether you're a new mom or a great-great-grandmother. Your voice is needed not only in your family, but your voice is needed in our world today, and it is time to be heard. So as we celebrate Mother's Day, as we go out to breakfast, as we hang out with our loved ones, as we bless those that are very close to us, let us recognize, too, that we have a higher calling. And the higher calling is to be a blessing to this entire planet and to our children and our children's children and our children's children, because that's what we're here for. In closing, I want to go back to the idea of, how you treat your first child versus your second or third. So if this is for a mother, your clothes, when you have the first baby, as soon as you find out you're pregnant, you begin wearing maternity clothes as soon as you leave the OBGYN. During the second baby, you wear your regular clothes for as long as possible. And during your third baby, your maternity clothes are your regular clothes. Happy Mother's Day.